Welcome back to Face the Nation. We learned more about the FBI's investigation of former President Trump last week, including new details about what federal agents recovered during the search of Mar-a-Lago last month. To help us with all of this, we are joined by CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent, that would be Robert Costa, and CBS News congressional correspondent, my good friend Scott MacFarlane. Good morning to you both. Bob, catch the audience up on what we learned and what's most important about that we learned.
Major, good to be with you. A federal judge in Florida decided to unseal more information about what was collected during that FBI search at Mar-a-Lago in early August. What we learned this week were new details, including the fact that there were empty folders marked as classified inside the president's Mar-a-Lago estate. This is a serious investigation. Based on my reporting, it also has mounting unanswered questions about why the former president had so many documents marked as classified, empty folders. If they are empty, then where was the information that was contained in them?
And also questions about if the representations made by his attorneys were truthful to the Justice Department.
That's right. The Justice Department has been suggesting in court filings that they're looking into possible obstruction by Trump and his legal team in terms of their engagement with the National Archives as well as with the Justice Department.
Scott, fair to say, fairly or not, this has set off a firestorm within the Trump sympathetic community in our country. Has that gotten the attention of prosecutors, judges, and others picking up similar suggestions of violence or threats of violence of the kind that preceded January 6th?
Exactly. There is a symmetry to what's been said publicly and on social media platforms and chat groups after the search at Mar-a-Lago and what they saw and what they heard January 4th, January 5th, 2021. Talk of civil war, talk of delegitimizing federal law enforcement or federal institutions. And one of the most unequivocal warnings has been coming from D.C. federal judges who are handling the January 6 cases. They warned in the past week of the prospect of another January 6 in 2025, of more political violence. These are the judges, Major, who know the January 6 cases. They know what these defendants had been saying before the attack, and the symmetry of what's being said now is striking and important.
Bob, what's your reporting about January 2025 and concerns Republicans have looking that far ahead?
When I'm on Capitol Hill, that is the point of alarm among some of my top sources. What happens in January 2025 after the next presidential election? And it's up to Congress to decide how this is all certified. And if there are disputes in the states, let's say a state court says one thing, a governor says another, and a legislature says another, how will Congress handle that? And there isn't a clear roadmap at this point because the Electoral Count Act, which has been guiding this process for a long time, has been confusing to many lawmakers. And so, as Congressman Raskin was saying, there are ongoing discussions in the Senate, Senator Manchin, Senator Collins trying to come up with their own proposal. But some in the House and in the Senate don't believe it goes far enough. For example, the threshold now for an objection is just one senator, one House member. The Senate proposed package is about 20% of a chamber is needed for an objection. But some of my sources, Democrat and Republican, are saying, is 20% too low? For the sustainability of American democracy, does it need to be more stringent when it comes to how things are objected to? And does it need to be more clear in terms of having Congress understand what to consider as a legitimate outcome in a state?
Scott, related to the conversation we just had, you're on Capitol Hill every day. Is the atmosphere there still as tense as it was after January 6th? Are members and staff still on edge about the prospect of violence or their own personal safety?
Yes, and note the increased security some members of Congress have had to take or get because of the talk in recent weeks and recent months and threats against their lives. I'll say something else. The defendants in court from January 6th, when it's time to go ask for leniency, go to sentencing, plead for the mercy of the court, are still so muted of their criticism of Donald Trump and in some cases still denying the integrity of the 2020 election. The judges and some of the people involved will say that's why they're so concerned about more violence. Even defendants on their day of reckoning are still critical.
And very quickly, Scott, how much volatility, if any, does it add when the former president says if he's reelected in 2024, he'll grant full pardons?
Yeah, it's a potential light to the candle to the match. It infuses this with more chaos and potentially more denialism of elections.
Bob, any thoughts on that real quick?
Just to build on Scott's point, January 6 remains a wound that will not heal in this country. It's influencing ongoing investigations. It's influencing Congress and the next election in terms of how people like Doug Mastriano are running in Pennsylvania, people who are linked to January 6 in various ways.
Robert Costa, Scott MacFarlane, thanks so very much.